I absolutely love this so much. Disney's ABC of hand tools is kind of exactly what it sounds like. I don't actually know if it was done alphabetically, but it takes you through hand tools, hammers, screwdrivers, etc., and explains what they're for. And this sounds quite bizarre, and in a way it is quite bizarre. But I wanted to watch this. I'm currently trying to watch every single Disney short, but this one specifically because I've just got an obsession with tools and hardware and DIY stores. I can't do any of it. I am abysmal, even with IKEA flat pack. But the next time I do have to make an IKEA flat pack, I will be consulting this short first because I found that it was actually really informative. It is an animation that lasts about 10 minutes. I top of my head can't remember how long it is, but it's not tremendously long. And the narrator takes us through what the different hand tools are for. There is a bit of a narrative to it, insofar as it starts off with Primitive Pete, who is basically a caveman, using a stick with a rock on it as, I guess, an example of the early hammer. And then we go in to see how the modern hammer looks now and how not to use it. And, you're supposed to strike it with a flat bit and not on the edge. I mean, I would never think to use the edge, but at the same time, I never would have thought it would have damaged the hammer. These things are made of solid metal. But apparently it's not a good thing to do. And then it takes us through the screwdriver and the anatomy of the tools and what they're for. And there are so many different tools explained here. A lot of them I hadn't heard of. I'm sure if you work in construction or anything like that, you will be very well aware of what most of these are, even if you're just a fan of DIY. Personally, I knew the basics and that's it. Which is why if I ever needed to use a tool that I wasn't familiar with, which is unlikely because I don't do DIY, I would consult this, and I thought it was really fascinating. Now, I will say that if you're not interested in tools or just don't have a weird fascination with them like I do, then you're probably not going to find this that interesting. There's not that much of a narrative to it. It doesn't have a detailed backstory that leads to the information being presented. But it is interesting. It's very informative. Everything is explained in absolute layman's terms. And yet it doesn't feel like it's speaking down to you. Maybe that's because I'm an idiot with hand tools and, needed to be spoken down to. But I found it very easy to understand and just an absolute joy. The illustrations are beautiful, it feels Disney-fied, and it's just a lot of fun. Honestly, I get that it's not going to be for everybody. It was distributed by General Motors, by the way, which I think is interesting. It was released in 1946, directed by Bill Roberts, produced, of course, by Mr. Disney himself, and I love it. I know it's not going to be one for everybody, but if you think it might be one that you'd be interested in, check it out. Or the next time you're doing a DIY project, or you're looking at that IKEA flat pack, thinking, what on earth? Give it a go. You might actually pick up some tips. I certainly did, most of which I've forgotten. But I will happily go back to this one again. It's so warm and fuzzy, and I absolutely love it.